I hated the teammate aspect of sports media, but I love my teammates. So there's a big difference. So when we're talking right now, I'm not here to make sure you don't lose. I'm here to make sure you win, right? So there's a big difference in how this is versus traditional sports media. Because we're going to do this and then we probably won't do another one for months, if not next year. You know what I mean? Yeah. There, I got to do another block with them. I got to do another show tomorrow with them. I got to do the rest of my contract with them. So not only do I got to help them win, but I got to make sure they don't lose. And that's when you lose the authenticity. Because sometimes them are saying some losing shit. And somebody needs to call you out on that loss. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Because that's how we learn, that's how we grow, that's how we get better. But we're all just kind of like, don't let him die right now. I'm like, why? He gonna resuscitate and he gonna revive next block. But this one, he lost this block. Yeah. So we're all doing this like dance of like, that's wrong, but I'm not gonna push too hard. That's wrong, but I'm not gonna really address that. And it really happens. I tell you, the worst example of it now is when there's a man and a woman going at it, especially about a sport that she didn't play or he didn't play. Then they just sitting there like, they're like pleasantries. I'm like, dog, I'm at the barbershop, like, what the fuck? Like, if y'all don't talk the real, and then that's why podcasts, that's why the real ones, that's why independent, new media, whatever you want to call it, is catching up and closing that gap. Because it's like, dog, everybody gonna be okay. Just tell it like it is and then let's move on. And I used to have to like do that song and dance because that's what the business model asked for and that's what your teammates needed, even though I didn't want to do it. So I used to be like, I go in, they go in, I'm like, don't kill them. All right, just wound them. And I'm sure they probably felt the same way, but I'm like, this shit is ice skating. And like, we're not really going there. And especially when you have all this talent of people who did it or have tremendous theories on how it's done, say it. And then when it just stops short. So being an alpha and being who I was, I never was a typical broadcaster. And that's why I was on Sports Nation. That's why I had like a personality driven show always. Because it was like, dog, I can't just talk third and goal. Like, you just can't talk,
it
running.
gets boring. That's what I like about you, too, that you go outside of sports.
Yeah.
Just straight X's and O's.
Yeah. My boss told me that when I was at ESPN, like 2 weeks in. He was like, dog, he said, Marcellus, you can't stay on topic. And that's a good thing. He was like, yo, your personality is going to take you places. And he's like, just keep going with it, lead with it. And so I did. But yeah, the worst part about that is just that song and dance. You got to always protect somebody, which doesn't always unleash the truth.
Would shit pop off set? Off air?
Not with me, but yeah, people.
But like at Fox, like Skip and Shannon?
Yeah, I mean, that's
yeah. Like, let me say it the right way. Cause
you don't have to censor nothing right here.
No, it's not
even abandon that new media thing.
Yeah.
Political here.
Yeah, because I don't have experiences because my experiences was like always, I'm going to say it, and then we would get to commercial break, and I could tell if somebody was hot. Let's say Acho, let's say Max, and they hot. And I've talked about the times we had like a little contention. I was like, dog, what's wrong with you? And they were like, oh, man, nothing. I'm good. And then you're like, oh, there we go. But I've been in the locker room. I played 10 years. I'm okay. If you don't like me right now, just tell me why, and then I could try and amend it or try to make it good and smooth it over. But I've seen fights more based on what someone said than what they were saying, like what social media said about you and all that stuff. But I never had a fight. Michelle Beadle checked me one time because I brought up someone she didn't like on air in a glowing way. And she was like, and then she just got like weird, and I was like, I noticed it, but I didn't say anything. Then we got off, and then the next day the bosses brought us in, and they were like, yo, but Mama wasn't happy about, we call her Mama Beadle. Mama Beadle wasn't happy about that. And I was like, about what? And then about that name, and I can't say that name because then that's going, ooh, that's beef. yeah. So I was like, I protect the guilty. One thing, I only got one rule in this. Yeah. Protect the guilty. So they had beef, and I didn't know. So I'm like, oh, okay. I said, but let me tell y'all all one thing, including Michelle. I was like, not my business to know who you don't like and who you do like. Like, I'm just talking about who I like, right? And so I respect it. I said, look, I ain't gonna bring her name up ever again in that respect because it gets under your skin. But that was the only time I ever had like this with somebody. Everything else, they probably got a long ass list. And I'm like, man, shut up. I don't care about all that.
I'm excited to see Skip and Richard Sherman. That's going to be wild.
Yeah, Skip going to realize how far he need to put him on the other side of that desk where he's slapping around.
How does that work, though? Because, like, I mean, Skip obviously hates Sherm. Did he hire him? Or, like, obviously he's got a ton of input in that. Yeah. Is he just saying, like, this is going to get crazy views, so, like, let's just run with it, even though I don't like you?
My theory is, I don't know that exact answer, even though I know the people that make that decision. My theory is, after Shannon left, Skip was taking some PR hits, largely because people were saying Shannon left because he outgrew Skip. He outshined Skip. Yeah. Skip looked like the old salty, get off my lawn, 71-year-old broadcaster, which I didn't fully feel, but I was like, I see that perception. So I went 2 months ago or so, I said, the smartest move for Skip would be to grab Richard Sherman and Jalen Rose, the two people that everyone says they got beef, they hate each other, whatever, and make them his co-hosts. Now, the first show I would do with Richard Sherman there and Jalen Rose would be like, y'all thought I was soft. Y'all thought I ain't care. You right? Yeah, just like, own your issues, whatever that is. He did half of that already. He already got Richard Sherman, so that's interesting. Skip has the most say I've seen of anybody on a network. Now, that's not to say there's not other people in comp. Colin is in competition with that. He runs his show exactly how he wants it. Stephen A. has his, right? But Skip is another level. Skip is the only one that when someone goes at Skip or someone tries to, upstage Skip, you just don't see them anymore. Kind of like, they just go out to the desert. They just go to the desert and disappear.
Like the mafia of sports media.
For real shit. And I was like, damn. But Skip helped raise an entire industry. People got to understand that. Godfather of sports debate, but more importantly, people don't understand this. Skip got to start like on the debate side, Cold Pizza, what's that, 06, 05, somewhere around there. Everyone who worked on those shows may have been like, they could have been just like the guy cleaning up, the mentees. It could have been just some like production assistants. They're now execs. They're now bosses. And he helped raise them. So they're all indebted to him to a degree. So that's why they all salute Skip and give him his props and also defer to him. So he earned those stripes and he flexes them sometimes.